Hey guys, it's the WalterFootball.com After Dark show for June 13, 2024. Going to be just talking about some random NFL news tonight. As you can see, don't have a guest. Kenny is usually on Wednesday, but he was out of town for a conference and he said he was going to be home late. So we're playing it by ear, and I assume that he just got in home late. So going to be on my own tonight. Tomorrow we're going to have Tom on, so going to have a fun show. But yeah, just probably going to be a kind of just kind of a limited show where we talk about some random NFL news that happened today, and really answer any questions you guys have. As you know, I'll answer anything if I'm on by myself. So just leave any comments and questions in the chat. I'll get to it. But yeah, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that would really mean a lot. As you can see, we have our merch store here. We have a coffee mug. We have just regular Walter football shirts. We have a free Gruden shirt, which we sent to. We actually mailed it to John Gruden. I don't know if he got it, or I don't know if he wears it, but hopefully he appreciated that. We have there are 4 lights. We have the Bucker was right apron, money laundering. Biden pooped his pants. We have our November Sloth month. I'm working on the other 5 deadly sins. Flag. No. I'm done the lust flag. I was kind of trying to decide what month the lust flag should be. Consensus so far is like September, because there are more babies born in September or conceived in September. I forget. Also, college kids go off to school in September, and you know what happens in college. So yeah, so September is the favorite there. Some people suggested February, but because of Valentine's Day, but that's love and not lust, right? So I think it has to be something else. November is taken obviously because of Sloth month. We have June month. You can't use. March is going to be Greed month. You'll see why when that flag is complete. So yeah, I'm working on the final 5, and when I do, the shirts will be out as well, assuming I'm not banned on the site. Which I feel like I didn't think they'd allow this Biden pooped his pants shirt, but apparently they did. So that was pretty cool. Chris asking, how excited are you about the big opportunity that opened up today? What opportunity? Maybe I'm out of the loop here. Wednesday's usually a busy day because my son has swim lessons, and I was on the phone just with business stuff for like 3 hours today. Just really didn't have any time to like look at the news. So you can maybe let me know what opened up today. But in the meantime, please consider super chats, super stickers. YouTube ads pay nothing. Like the last time, I always say this, the last time we had a show with no YouTube ads, we had 71 cents generated, which can't really keep the show going. We need 4 shows to get a McDonald's cheeseburger. It's a pretty sad state of affairs with the YouTube ads, but the super chats, super stickers are so helpful. We had Slew yesterday with the 333. We had Slew as well on Saturday. We had a new viewer contribute $20. We had Kevin Kovac with $25 with super stickers. John Sanders has been great in recent weeks, as Germ and Degeneron, and you guys have been so awesome, and we really appreciate it. Also consider buying my book. It is on Amazon. It is called Jerks of the College Years. It is basically Jerks of the Week, which, if you're not familiar, it's a section on my site where I just rant about stuff, meet weird people and I talk about them. And as you can see, these are pretty weird people. We have Acne Thong Girl here in the middle. Can't really see the thong in this picture, but yeah, she was she was like the perfect woman, except like her face is just like completely covered in acne. But she was she had her own personality, and it was fun to write about her because I overheard some of her conversations at the dining commons. She lived like on the 4th floor when Tom and I lived together on the 1st floor. So yeah, I overheard some of her conversations with her and this girl, Man Voice Girl, and they were pretty funny. So I talked about that and so much more in this book. Which, if you buy, that would also help out the show a lot too. Look at Chris saying that is in reference to Joey Chestnut being banned from the hot dog eating contest. Now's your chance. Nice. No, I'm the slowest eater of all time. They would ban me as well. I'm curious why he was banned though. Did he cheat or something. So yeah, Chris saying 3 hours of business on the phone. Are you operating a sex chat line? Yeah, I mean that would certainly help sales, right? No, it was unfortunate. I had to unfortunately I had to let someone go. Someone who's been working on the site for a very long time. It wasn't even performance based at all. Like this guy's just been a great contributor for a long time. Not Charlie. No, he's and I just had no choice because a couple things. One, just the traffic and revenue have been down this year, but and also two is payroll taxes have been like absolutely brutal. Like I talked about payroll taxes before. I pay about $1,000 a week to the federal government, only like not based on our site income or anything. It's only based on how many people I employ. If I let someone go, that $100 turns into the $1,000 per week turns into like 650 or 700 per week. If I hire someone, that would go to 1,300 per week. Also, that would include like pay raises and stuff like that. If I slice someone's salary, I save money, and like it's just the most absurd thing in the world. You would think the government would incentivize business owners to hire people, and if they got rid of this payroll tax, I probably well, first of all, I would keep this guy on. Second, I would even think about hiring someone new, but I can't because paying $1,000 a week to the federal government for what? I don't know. So like these two factors, the payroll tax with the combined decrease in traffic and revenue could contribute to that, and it just sucks. So we were just talking for a while, but it was. I think there's a decline in interest in mock drafts. I noticed that, and I was talking to my ad team about it because they were wondering why. And I was looking back at like the 2013 and 2014 mock draft databases we had on the site. And like back then we had like 650 mock drafts in the 2013 mock draft database. We had like 500 in 2014. In this past year, we only had 192. Mel Kiper didn't even release a mock draft. And I just think that there's declining interest in mock drafts. Now, like people still love mock drafts. It's still the number one visited thing on the site. But before, if you're talking like 2014, if like mock drafts were like at 100, I think now they're like at 80 or 85, and that's still like the biggest traffic page on the site. But people are looking at it less. Maybe Mel Kiper has something to do with it. And honestly, like when Mel Kiper would release a mock draft, we would get a boost in traffic because what would happen is people would hear about it and they'd Google 2024 NFL mock draft, and then they find our site because we're ranked so highly in Google search. But when Mel Kiper's not releasing mock draft, no one's searching for it, So like I think that would explain it as well. I don't know why Kiper didn't do a mock draft. I know he's been horrible at mock drafts over the years. And I mean, obviously, like he's responsible for like all this great draft coverage. Like he's like the godfather of the draft, but his predictive model or whatever he does for his mock drafts was so bad. Like there was years he'd only have like 2 or 3 picks correct. I just don't know if he even cared about guessing it correctly. Like I think he'd care more about evaluating the prospects. So I could see why he'd skip a mock draft, but I don't know. If I were ESPN, I'd be pissed because like mock drafts get so much traffic. But yeah, I don't know. He skipped it. But I always likened us to like like the small fish that swim alongside the shark. And then like the shark will eat stuff, but like the remains will be out there and the small fish will eat that stuff. Like I felt like that was us for like when we first started out, because like I said, when Mel would release a mock draft, we would suck up some of the traffic. So it was good times. It was a good run with those mock drafts. But yeah, just it doesn't happen anymore. Yeah, on what grounds do they ban the legendary Joey Chestnut? I'm curious as well. Chris says he has some agreement to promote a vegan hot dog brand, which apparently Nathan's considers a competitor. Like, oh man, I'm so sick of this vegan nonsense. This vegan food, like Beyond Meat, like this stuff sucks. Like I don't get it. Like I've tried it before. It's horrible. I don't get why people would eat it. I don't get why, like except for like if health reasons, whatever, like some people just can't eat meat, like they can't process meat. That's understandable. I don't get why, like people are vegetarians or vegans by choice. Like that seems this seems stupid. I once I dated. I wouldn't say I dated this girl. I hung out with her a few times. And this is like 2010 or 2011. This is a long time ago. And I was like she was a vegetarian, and so as you can see, I didn't hang out with her too much longer. I asked her like why are you vegetarian? And she's like, it's like, oh, whenever I eat meat, I get sad because I think of the animals and I think of their eyes. And like, well, I'm like plants are alive too, right? And she's like, what do you mean? So she's like, she's a pretty stupid girl. So as you know, as you can tell, that didn't last very long. Chris says, as some of the comments I read today said, he should be allowed to put any wiener in his mouth that he pleases. Nice. Yeah, why not? I mean, sure, we're all libertarians here for the most part. So yeah, I'm whatever he wants to do. I think I'm fine with it. All right, let's get to some of the news stories. Something I didn't post on the site that broke like an hour ago is that Juwan Johnson, the tight end for the Saints, is going to miss a considerable amount of time. I don't know if that's going to leak into the regular season, but he's going to miss training camp, maybe most of training camp. For the Saints, I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. Like I would assume like he's the if you're counting Kamara, he's probably like the fourth option in that offense. In the passing game, you have obviously Chris Olave, then Rashid Shaheed, who had a nice season last year, and you have Alvin Kamara in the backfield. So Juwan Johnson's like number 4. It kind of helps Taysom Hill a little bit, but it doesn't sound like he's going to miss the whole season or anything like that. Like he might be back like in October at the very latest or something, and who knows? Maybe he'll be back for the start of the regular season. I don't think it's a huge deal. Mainly because the Saints suck anyway. Where they're going to win like 4 games instead of 5 now. I don't even think he counts for a win. To be honest, he's a fine player. It's more relevant for fantasy, but even then, like in 12-team leagues, we're even going to draft Juwan Johnson. I don't know. I think the most relevant it's for me because I somehow I don't know how I have a Juwan Johnson legendary Rainmaker card. So it's the past year card, so I'd have to use it to win packs. So that affects me more than anyone in the world, probably except for Juwan Johnson himself. So yeah, I don't know. It's not a big deal. I just saw it and I was kind of upset. John with the 411. Thank you so much, John. Really appreciate it. You're one of the few guys on here who really contributes and just really helps us out a lot. Just like I said, without you and Slew and Degeneron, Kevin Kovac, Germ, you guys. You guys really keep the show running, so thank you. John says, is Rodgers just trolling the Jets at this point? So that's like one of the things I was going to get to. Might as well go to it. So Aaron Rodgers said that he's going to be out for the entire minicamp. And I think I saw like so many people in the media are making such a big deal out of it. The usual people like Jason La Canfora, like clowns like that. But the thing is, like, his absence was already excused. Like, he already told the Jets that he was going to miss all of minicamp. And I think that they're kind of a little upset about it, but like they knew it was going to happen. I don't know how accurate this is, but from what I heard that he's I don't even know if this is true. I just saw it on Twitter that he's with RFK at the moment, like campaigning with him. But he could also be on one of his vision quests too. Like I don't really know. But the point is that like he's been planning this the entire time, and the Jets already knew about it. And I think Robert Saleh tonight, he said, I'm going to pull up this quote. He said Aaron Rodgers is absent. Here it is. It's more of an issue for everyone outside the building than it is inside, which I think is very accurate because, like I said, the media absolutely hates Aaron Rodgers. I quote tweeted that Nick Wright guy who's famous for some reason. It feels like all he does is say stupid things on TV. I don't even know. Like, I don't even know what show he's on really. I think it's Fox Sports, but I've never watched Fox Sports before outside of like a random college football game. So I don't know the Fox Sports Network, I should say, not the actual Fox channel. So I heard him say like there's no one more disingenuous than Aaron Rodgers. I'm like, well, I would say Nick Wright knows something about that because he seems like the most disingenuous. I'm willing to bet. I tried to look this up, I couldn't find it. I'm willing to bet that whatever show Nick Wright is on has been sponsored at some point by either Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, or AstraZeneca. Probably not AstraZeneca, but like one of the big four. I'm absolutely sure that happened, and that's his bosses probably were like, "Hey, we're not happy with Aaron Rodgers, so feel free to criticize him." Like I guarantee that happened, and so like he's just like a shill on TV. He's just I feel like he has no real opinions. He's just saying stuff that he's being told to say. So not that I've seen more than a few clips of him on Twitter or anything like that, but he's just seems like a scumbag to me, the Nick Wright guy. Yes, Slew says Big Pharma runs the media. Yeah, every news network is either brought to you by Pfizer or Moderna or Johnson & Johnson, of course, like one of the big three. You see it all the time, and like all of them were pro shot. It's such a joke. It really is. And so hopefully we're never sponsored by them, because if I never sell out like that, but it'd be funny if like one day I was like, it's like, hey guys, you should get the shot. We're sponsored by Pfizer. They get so stupid, the whole thing. John says Saleh said it was unexcused though. LOL. He's going to get a scolding from Rodgers. Yeah, it's unexcused, I suppose, but it's expected though. Like they knew it was going to happen, but it's still unexcused. It's a weird thing. I guess they're not happy with where he is. Maybe Woody Johnson doesn't like RFK too much for obvious reasons. So maybe that is that's why they called it unexcused. But yeah, it's overblown. It's completely overblown. I really don't care. I doubt most of the players care. Like, it's June. Like, he's going to be there in training camp. This is a stupid mini camp that means nothing. I saw, I think it was like Roto World or whatever they're called these days. They changed their name like 5 billion times. They're like, oh, Aaron Rodgers is out, and as the rest of the team prepares, they're going to really miss him. It's like, no, they're not. Come on, it's June. Like, remember the COVID year where like no one practiced and like they were still fine? Like, it's just so stupid. So I think it's I think it's much ado about nothing, this whole Rodgers thing. However, I think Hassan Reddick being out, I think that's more important. He's looking for a contract, and I don't know if like what the Jets were thinking when they traded for him, because it doesn't seem like they kind of they had a plan to re-sign him when they traded for him, which seems like kind of absurd. But he's not even talking to the Jets right now because he wants a new contract. The problem is, like, he's going to be 30 in a couple months, and like, do you really want to give a 30-year-old a huge deal? And like, Hassan Reddick has been awesome, but he's going to be on the wrong side of 30, and like you're going to be paying on pass production for the most part if you're the Jets. So like, people thought this was a lopsided trade. I think the Eagles were like, hey, like we're not going to re-sign this guy because he's going to be in his 30s the entire contract. So it makes sense to get Bryce Huff, who's I think Huff is like 26 or 27. So like, he has more time left. And he, like, in the 2 years from now, Huff and Reddick might be equal. And like 3 years from now, Huff is probably going to be better than Reddick. So like, I think the Eagles definitely won the trade, and it doesn't seem like the Jets have a plan at the moment. So I gave the Jets like a 2 out of 10 disaster grade, like nothing major. Like, I assume they're going to get a deal done. I just think that this deal is not going to be favorable for them. All right, so Chris saying, hopefully you can get sponsored by CT ESPN. Let's get Antonio Brown on as a guest. Dude, I would love to hire Antonio Brown. I wish I had the money. I obviously don't. But then again, like, Antonio Brown made $2,000. He on Twitter last month. He tweeted that out as public information. It was like 2,400 to 2,500, and I quote tweeted, I'm like, that's not enough It's really not. Like I think he's like one of the best content producers on Twitter. And I actually tweeted this, and I was like half joking but half serious. I said, no football player has had a better second career than Antonio Brown since O.J. Simpson. Now, obviously, things went awry for O.J. Simpson, but O.J. Simpson was, he was a movie star before, the whole murder thing. He was in the Naked Gun movies. Like he was great. Like everyone loved him. And Tony Brown, I feel like people either love him or hate him. He says some things that are out there for most people, like the normies. They're probably like, what is going on here? And like, the leftists are just losing their minds. But like, I feel like sensible people are looking at it. They're just laughing. If we had a better financial situation and no payroll tax, I would consider bringing Antonio Brown on. I would not consider. I would love it. Like I would be super happy to make that hire. I'd make him a co-host here a couple times, maybe let him run the show like once or twice a week. And I say, like, it feels like he's out of the price range, but then I saw he made only 2,400 on Twitter, which seems so low just based on what the content he produces. Feels like he should be making like at least 20, 30 grand on Twitter per month. So 2,400 per month, like I can beat that, I guess. Like, I don't know. So yeah, maybe I'll reach out to Antonio Brown or maybe make him a guest. I don't know if he's ever heard of the site. Some players have, but I don't know if he has. But if he has and he had his interest, like I would love to have him on as a guest. Like I think he's awesome. He's a little crazy, but I think crazy in a good way. I think they should have just kept Bryce Huff. Yeah, I think so. I think the Jets might have trader's remorse here, but we'll see. I think they'll get a deal done, like I said. But Sue says off topic, but is there a website where we could check in on Nuggets' progress at the World Series of Poker? Good question. I'll ask Nuggets and then I'll report back on tomorrow. But yeah, I hopefully he does well. Well, I should note that Nuggets is not officially in the World Series of Poker. He went out to Vegas to do some of the minor poker events, but he's trying to play into the tournament. So hopefully he gets in, and I think the World Series of Poker doesn't even start until like July 3rd or something. So we still have some time, and hopefully he qualifies. If he qualifies, I'm going to send him like swag so he can maybe wear it. So that would be awesome. Hopefully he does really well. I love Nuggets. He's the best. He's a great guy, and he says such funny things on here. But yeah, I'll be rooting for him. I don't know anyone else anyway. Cassandra says the Jets can't give Redick a new contract. That would be ridiculous. Best move is probably guarantee his contract fully for 2024. Yeah, that's probably it. They're in a tough spot with Redick. And there's another team with a similar situation, but the Jets have such dire cap issues. So it's pretty tough. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But like I said, I think they'll get something done, and I think he's going to play for them. I'll be shocked if he like holds out the entire season. But I guess crazier things have happened. Like remember Le'Veon Bell held out the entire year. Like I guess it could happen. And if it does, like that's a real shame for the Jets. It'd be crazy if they all stayed healthy and they just didn't have the pass rush because they're missing Redick. That'd be pretty ironic. John says, before I knew he was a mental case, I thought Antonio Brown had a chance to catch Jerry Rice's records. Yeah, I mean, I feel like he changed completely when he got lit up by Vontaze Burfict in that playoff game. He just wasn't the same person after that. I think like he definitely changed. I think that had to have impacted him. I think we saw that with Carson Wentz too. Carson Wentz was a fantastic quarterback before he got concussed by Clowney in the playoffs. Remember, obviously he would have won MVP in 2017 had he not gotten hurt. But then in 2019, he dragged the Eagles kicking and screaming into the playoffs. Like that team sucked. And he was so good at the end of the year. And then he took this like crushing blow from Clowney in the playoffs. And ever since then, he just has not been the same. Like he just looks like a shell of himself. It's a real shame because I thought Wentz had a chance to be, perennial top 5, like all pro quarterback. And he played that way until 2020. And then 2020 onward, he's just been horrible. So yeah, I mean, these concussions, like you can't, it's weird because you can't see them. Like someone tears an ACL, like they're going to look a little slow, and stuff. They're going to re-injure themselves. They're going to like tear their Achilles sometimes when they try to come back too early. Like you can tell when someone's not at full speed after they tear their ACL, but like you can't see it with a concussion. Obviously if they're concussed at the moment, but like the long-term effects of these concussions, like you just don't know. It's impossible to tell. But yeah, I mean, there was definitely something changed with Brown and also Wentz. And I imagine, you had that unfortunate event with like Steve McNair, and he took a lot of concussions and stuff like that. And it's just like a lot of stuff. A lot of these players, it seems like things go south for them like really quickly sometimes with these concussions. It's really a shame. Hopefully they can figure it out, how to like prevent that from happening. Chris says when you reach out to him, tell them there's some crackers that would love to hear his opinion on the upcoming NFL season. That'd be funny. I think I don't know if he'd be up for it. I don't know. It's like it's not like he's employed by network or something. If he was, there'd obviously be like a competition factor. He would not be allowed on. But he's basically like a freelancer at this moment, and like I just don't know if he has any plans. But like I said, I like if we didn't have if our revenue wasn't declining this year, I would love to bring him on as an employee. I think he's so funny. I love that he just says whatever he wants. Like I think that's awesome. Obviously you're never going to agree completely with everyone, but I like that. I like that his freedom and stuff like that. Like he just says what he wants, and I think he's hilarious. Chris, or discuss Caitlin Clark's grooming habits. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Chris says the word for those poker tourneys is satellites. Yes, had I been remotely sober last night, I'd have checked and say hello. Well, hope you had fun last night. Yeah, we had a fun time last night. Jacob couldn't be on. He had a work conflict, but yeah, we had a fun time with the golf guys last night. And some agreements, which was nice. We disagreed on some stuff. They brought up Will Zalatoris at like 110 to 1 or something. He wasn't even on my radar. I don't know if I'm going to bet him. I still haven't decided. I guess I got to make that decision soon. But yeah, I mean, those guys are pretty sharp with golf stuff. So I like when we all agree. And then Chris also says if somehow Antonio Brown does come on, make sure Kenny is on too. That would be a fantastic power to keg. That would be Kenny would be a good co-host to have on. However, although like I worry though, because Kenny is in the educational field. He's actually trying to start a university in Florida. I don't know if Kenny would be able to come on. I think Kenny would be great with Brown. I just don't know if Kenny would I don't know if that would hurt his career just being on Brown. Like with me, I can't get canceled. I always say that, but like I can't get canceled because I run my own business. I can't get fired. I just fund my own business. I just what's gonna happen? Like nothing can happen. They've tried to cancel me a few times, it just doesn't work. So like it doesn't matter with me. Like I can be on with Antonio Brown every day. Like it doesn't matter. But with someone like Kenny, like if Brown says like something like really controversial, for me, I don't care. But for Kenny, that could hurt his professional career. So I'm gonna bring that subject up with Kenny the next time he's on, see what he says. I imagine he probably would say yes. Like Kenny's more Kenny. I think Kenny's like he's more libertarian than I think he leads than he thinks he is. And it's funny because we actually took a one of those tests to see like where you stand politically. And I consider myself like extremely libertarian, and that's like what it was. Like it came out as libertarian. Kenny came out as conservative, but like his liberty score was higher than mine somehow. And my liberty score is higher than anything else. So it was very strange. Maybe we're asked different questions because I know they randomize it, but yeah, but still it was weird that like Kenny's liberty score is higher than mine, and yet his conservative score was even higher than that. Um, so yeah, so I mean, the fact that he is libertarian, I think that would mean that he would like to be on, and I think he probably would be on, but it could hurt them though, and so I don't know, it could backfire. So I wouldn't want to see him get hurt or anything like that. But I will bring up the subject with him. Not that we're definitely going to get Brown on or anything like that. We're just speculating, but like if Antonio Brown has heard of the site, I think he might come on. But there's a chance that he's never even heard of us, and he's gonna be like, who is this guy? You know, it's probably would just blow me off. But like I said, if he's heard of the site, I think there would be a chance that he'd come on. So maybe I'll reach out to him or something. Probably a waste of time. You never know. Whatever. Amari Cooper holding out in minicamp. This is the other guy who's holding out today. It's the same thing as Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick's about to turn 30. He wants a long-term contract. Amari Cooper is about to turn 30. Actually, he's going to turn 30 in 5 minutes Eastern time. He's going to turn 30 in 2 days. So happy early birthday, Amari Cooper. He's going to, he's going to be 30, obviously, for the duration of his next contract, which is really problematic for a receiver. That's like when they begin to decline. I've noticed like receivers like really take a step down where they're like 31 or 32. And it feels like Amari Cooper's not really one of those guys who can play well into his 30s. You know, he's not like Keenan Allen, I think can. I don't think Amari Cooper really can. Like he relies a lot on those like deep shots downfield, and like those will go away pretty quickly as he gets into his 30s. So I think this is a tough situation for the Browns. Like, do you give him a long-term contract that you're probably going to regret, or do you just not pay him at all and hope he reports and just risk a holdout for a while? Like it's pretty tough. So I don't know what they're going to do. We'll see. I mean, the Browns front office has been a lot better recently since they brought in this new regime. Outside of the Deshaun Watson thing, they really screwed up with that one, obviously. But like everything else, like they made a lot of good moves. We'll see what they do with Cooper. I think it's a very interesting situation. Let's see. John says smart of the Cowboys to pay Zeke and trade Cooper. That was not the best. Like pay the running back and let the star receiver go is not too smart by Jerry. Jerry's made some decent moves, but that was kind of dumb. I think Jerry was kind of like living in the 90s days. You know, back in the 90s, if you had this dilemma, like, do you pay Emmett or do you trade Michael Irvin? I feel like, yeah, you do that, right? Like in the 90s, because like you were so reliant on the running game. Like Emmitt Smith was so important to that team. Obviously, Michael Irvin was too. But I think like Emmett was more important to that team than Irvin. But like if you take that team now, then that would not be the right move. You would keep Irvin and you would get rid of Emmett. So the NFL has changed a lot. So yeah, it's just a bad move by Jerry Jones not to see that. I guess like maybe some member berries from the 90s days. So like, hey, I remember Emmett. Maybe Ezekiel Elliott could be like Emmett. But not really the case. We had a couple of fantasy implications here, and I guess like real life too. So Jonathan Brooks, the running back, the Panthers drafted in the second round. He apparently will not be ready for training camp. And Dave Canales, the head coach, said he has a ways to go before being ready to play. And I'm like, yeah, no crap. Like this guy's coming off a torn ACL. And like, it like really boggled my mind that he's going like relatively early in fantasy drafts. His ADP is 803, which like I would, if he weren't injured, then I could definitely understand that. In fact, I think that would be a little too late. But he's coming off a torn ACL. I never trust running backs coming off torn ACLs. Like they either or they have like a small workload to start the year. Like we saw that with Breece Hall. Breece Hall in the second half of last season was great. First half, he didn't have more than 10 carries. I think he had there's one game he had like 11 carries. He never saw the ball like much more than that until it was the Denver game. I think that was week 6 or week 7. I remember ahead of that game, And I remember that game specifically because I bet thought Dalvin Cook's under rushing yards. There was a report saying that Breece Hall would be unshackled in that Denver game because they were finally confident that he was over the torn ACL. And that came to fruition. Like he had, and I might as well pull it up. I'm just kind of like talking out of thin air here. Let's go Breece Hall stats. I should probably, I wonder if they had their game log. They do have the game log here. Here, let's game logs 2023. So yeah, let's look at the carries. So he started 10 carries, 12 was the number, then 6. Okay, so it was week 5. They said, yeah, we're going to unshackle Breece Hall here. So he had 22 carries for 177 yards in this game. And then Dalvin Cook had like nothing. And Dalvin Cook that was like one of the easiest bets we've ever made because we had that information. I just noticed this is kind of small on large. Yeah, we had that information out there, and they still had a bad number of cooks. So I think like you can sometimes gain leverage on that. And there's so many props out there that the sports books can't really keep track of it. So you can really like catch them like off guard here with that. But yeah, Breece Hall's numbers went up. Like his lowest number was 12 after that until that 7 carry performance against the Dolphins, which was like the result of the Jets never having the ball because Tim Boyle was so terrible. And also 10 carries against the Bills. That was a complete blowout. Like when they were not getting blown out, like he would get at least 12 carries. He's going to get more. But my point is that like, if you had Breece Hall in fantasy, like the first 4 weeks are brutal for you because like 12 carries at most. Like that first week was great because he broke a long touchdown, or a long run. But outside of that, like 9 yards, 18 yards, 56 yards, like you're losing all those games if you had him in your starting lineup. So like that's probably where Brooks' trajectory is going to be. He's a young guy like Breece Hall. And so there's a chance in the second half of the year it's going to be really good. But if you draft him in like 8th round or earlier, like you can't play him until he's going to be healthy. You just don't know when that's going to be. It might not even be week 5. It might be like week 8, week 9, week 10. Everyone's injury is different. And if he tries to come back too early, you have the Saquon Barkley effect. Like a lot of the times when running backs come back early from torn ACLs, they suffer a torn Achilles or like something with their ankle. These guys just like they try to compensate too much off the injuries. So it's just tough to draft these guys. So yeah, I would avoid Jonathan Brooks until he's healthy. Maybe like you could try like targeting him in a trade in the second half of the year. Like if you hear the same report, like, hey, we're gonna unshackle Jonathan Brooks, maybe like his owner doesn't hear that and you trade for him at a low price, or who knows, like his owner may just cut him because he's not doing anything, and just try to pick him up in like October and November. So like I'm not completely down on Brooks, and I like his talent a lot. It's just like his injury status right now is just too problematic to even consider taking him in the 8th round. I just think it's way too early. John says Cowboys are great at drafting, but horrible at retaining their players. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. They definitely find some steals. Jerry Jones, he does a good job he gets made fun of a lot, but he does a good job overall with drafting. But yeah, some of the decision making, not just retaining their players, but like retaining their coaches too. Like, how do they not fire Mike McCarthy? It just really boggles my mind. Like they were so unprepared for the Packers in that playoff game. And the fact that like Jerry Jones wanted to fire him was talked out of it. I wonder who talked him out of it, first of all. And second, like, I know that he was doing Jason Witten a favor, but like he planned to interview Jason Witten for the head coaching job, where like Witten right now is a head coach in a high school. Like, I don't know. It seems a little silly. Like, yeah, you're doing him a favor. You're getting his name out there. You're not going to hire him. Sure. I get it. But like, it still like seems like amateurish. Like, hey, he's my former player. I'm just going to interview him for the job. It's just, I don't know. It seems like a little too NBA-ish. Like you see like NBA players all the time. Like they never go through the coaching ranks. They just become random head coaches out of nowhere. I think that's what it seemed like to me. And football is just a different beast. Like you just can't it's like you just can't do that. Like there's so many things going on for a head coach. Like you have to kind of know understand what you go through to be a head coach. And Jason Witten would just be like in way over his head, like even more so than he was on Monday Night Football. So he says, what are the chances that Chuba Hubbard has a Rachaad White like year on the Canals? I could see that in the first half of the season. I like Hubbard in the short term. The first 5, 6, 7 weeks, I think he could be good. And then at that point, like once you get to like Halloween or a little bit beforehand, I would consider trading him because Jonathan Brooks is going to get more and more touches as the year goes on. Or like who knows if Brooks could get hurt, like if he suffers a torn Achilles because he's come back too early, then yeah, like Hubbard's gonna be really good the whole year. Like Hubbard is not like a great player by any means, but he's pretty nifty as a receiver. Like he's proven himself, like that he can start and be effective, like kind of like Rachaad White. Like Rachaad White's not that talented, but he has the opportunity. He catches the ball well. It's pretty like he's pretty similar to Hubbard, and so I like that that comparison. John is saying here, I would have offered Ben Johnson the bag if I was the Cowboys. I'm shocked that they didn't go after Belichick. It seemed like such a Jerry Jones type move. And Jerry Jones is super old. Like, how old is he? Like 83. I'm going to guess he's 81. It's going to be 82 in October. Jerry Jones like doesn't have that much time left to win the Super Bowl, So if I'm him, I'm going like all in on on a great coach, and like Belichick fit that to a T. Belichick himself said that he wanted to go to an established team. I'm thinking, okay, that means Cowboys or Chargers. And like the Cowboys felt like they were open, and then they were like, no, we're going to stick with McCarthy. I don't get it. Like Belichick would have been an instant upgrade, like a huge upgrade over McCarthy. But yeah, with Dallas and McCarthy's not going to do anything. With Belichick, they'd have a chance. But yeah, and Ben Johnson would work well too. But Belichick's proven, and for an 81-year-old owner, I would have preferred like Belichick over the young guy. Jason Witten, Jeff Saturday, yeah, it's a good comparison. At least like Jason Witten has coached in high school, whereas like Jeff Saturday was just an analyst. It's funny. It's pretty hilarious that Jeff Saturday won his first game that he coached. Everyone was criticizing it. Then he won his first game, and then he didn't win any after that. It's hilarious how that worked out. The other piece of news here, let's go back to the other screen. Javonte Williams. This isn't like exactly news, sort of, but I saw this tweet from. It was actually from. It's like I forget who it was from. I'm just kicking myself here. I can't remember who it was from, but they're referencing Cecil Lammey, who's he is the top one of the top team reporters in the NFL. He covers the Broncos. He is I think he's never gotten anything wrong. He was kind of like in the Mike Jurecki zone before the whole before Jurecki with Marvin Harrison / Malik Neighbors, but Jurecki did get other stuff right this past year too, and I think Jurecki did correct to Harrison toward the end, and he called their second first round pick. So I mean, Jurecki is still one of the top team reporters, but no, Cecil Lammey's never gotten anything wrong either. He was calling Bo Nix the entire time this offseason, like dating back to like February. Yeah, so whenever he says something about the Broncos, I'm like, okay, like this, it's going to be true. And he said something interesting. He said that Jaleel McLaughlin is the top running back on the Broncos right now, and he doesn't know if Javonte Williams is going to make the roster this year. And that's kind of shocking to me because I've always been a fan of Javonte Williams coming out of school. He had a great start to his career. Then he tore his ACL, and then last year he's coming back from the torn ACL, so he was not 100%, which made sense, right? So I thought that Javonte Williams would be a nice buy low candidate this year, now that he's 2 years removed from the torn ACL. But apparently, maybe he's just not recovered from it because he's looking pretty bad in practice. And Cecil saying that Javonte Williams may not make the final roster, which is like really shocking to me. So yeah, definitely avoid Javonte Williams in fantasy drafts unless some performances, maybe some great performances in the preseason or training camp. But at the moment, you just can't trust. You can't use a draft pick on Javonte Williams, and I imagine that some league mates are going to do that just because he's going to be like he's going to be at the top of the depth chart in like the fantasy magazines. But yeah, the preferred guy there is Jaleel McLaughlin. However, I wouldn't draft anyone on Denver. I think the Broncos are going to be horrible. So yeah, just maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Like seeing this, because I would have like Javonte Williams is the only player I would have considered. And now I just don't want anything to do with any Broncos. Waste of second round pick. Yeah, I mean, I liked them. I liked them coming out. I was kind of, I don't know. I mean, he looked good early. I just not quite sure. I assume this is injury wise. Like he just hasn't recovered off the torn ACL. Which is a shame because I thought he looked good early, but apparently McLaughlin's better, and Jaleel McLaughlin's not a talented running back. So it's a really bad sign for Javonte Williams here. Okay, I mean that's about all the news I had for today. So yeah, it was like I said, it was going to be a shorter show than usual, just because not much to talk about, and also no co-host. But tomorrow we're going to make up for it. Tomorrow, I assume with Tom, we're going to go like 2.5 hours as we usually do. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm sure Tom's going to watch more Game of Thrones episodes. Going to talk about GameStop some more and whatever bets we've decided to make. We're going to look at pre-day 2 bets for the U.S. Open. Good luck to those who are going to bet the U.S. Open. Hopefully Scotty Scheffler delivers another win, or if it's not him, hopefully Colin Morikawa or wherever else we bet. Let's see here. Mike says running back stars one day, unemployed the next. It's wild, man. Like, remember Todd Gurley? I want to look at Todd Gurley's stats, career stats here while we have Pro Football Reference up. Let's look at Todd Gurley. Because he led, he was responsible for that offense in the Super Bowl. So it was 2018. He led the Rams to the Super Bowl. It was he goes 1106 yards, 10 touchdowns, 885 and 6. Then he goes 1305 and 13, 1251 and 17. Then 3 years later, he's out of the league. He leads the Rams to the Super Bowl at 24 years old. He's on top of the world right here, right? He's 1,251 rushing yards, 17 touchdowns, 59 catches, 580 receiving yards, 4 more touchdowns through the air, to 21 total touchdowns. At 24, this guy seems like he's going to be the next great thing. In fact, leading up to the 2015 draft, one of Charlie's sources, not mine, said that they thought that Todd Gurley was going to be the next like great running back, or like in the NFL. He's not like, top 3 running backs are all great. He thought, no, he's going to be the number 1 running back in the NFL, kind of like taking Adrian Peterson's spot. And it looked like that was going to be the case in 2017 and 2018, right? But man, he just fell off a cliff. He had knee injuries, and that was it. Like at 27, he was not even in the league anymore. It's crazy. Ezekiel Elliott had the same sort of downfall. Now he's still in the NFL. But it's, yeah. I mean, like Elliott in 2016 looked amazing. Some of that was the offensive line being great. But you're right, Mike. Like these guys fall off a cliff very quickly, which, makes Dallas's decision to keep Elliott and trade Cooper look extremely foolish. Will Dallas get swept? I think so. I would say like it's hard for actually I'm still going to say 5. It's hard to sweep a team like as good as Dallas, and it's hard to close out a series on the road. It really is, unless the other team sucks. And Dallas obviously does not suck. Dallas could have won tonight. Like the refs, they fouled out Luka Doncic on like very ticky-tack foul. Like I thought he was standing still, and the Boston player went like this with his elbow. It was like seemed like an offensive foul to me. in fact, I wouldn't have called it anything. I don't know how you can decide the game like that. So like Luka Doncic fouls out with like 3 or 4 minutes left, and of course like Dallas they get it to 2 and they can't get over the top because Doncic is not out there. But I don't know. It feels like Boston, like their mission was to win one game in Dallas, and they did it. And I don't know if we're going to see their best effort, like up 3-0. Now Dallas could be a complete no show if they're demoralized. But if Dallas puts forth some effort in Game 4, I think they'll win, and then I think Boston will win Game 5. So I think it'll be a 5-game series still. I'm guessing, did Leonard Fournette land somewhere? Let me see real quick. I don't think so. Yeah, he's free agent. He has not landed anywhere. So I guess like not really surprised. Like he's looked kind of washed up recently. Chris says, why isn't Tom watching House of the Dragon? Technically, that is first chronologically. I guess he could. Like there are no spoilers, right? For it would be hard to have a spoiler for that because this is a prequel. So like, what would they spoil? Like, I had visions that Jon Snow would be I'm not gonna say it because Tom might be watching. I just don't know what they'd spoil. So yeah, he could do it, I suppose. Tom, I will say, like, he's working a lot, so his time is limited. So he hasn't even watched 2 episodes of Game of Thrones for a while. He said though he said he'll pick it up. So we'll see how true that is on Thursday. So I'm looking forward to it. Chris says the Todd Gurley won me a fantasy title one of those years. Yeah, he was so good. He really was incredible. And he just out of the league instantly. It's insane. Johnson's never liked Gurley's attitude. Wasn't surprised he dipped off when he signed that second contract. What do you mean by Gurley's attitude? I hadn't heard anything about that. Was he like a diva or something? I'm not familiar with it. Sue says, I like Kareem Hunt's approach. Free agent and wait for a crippled team to come calling, saves on wear and tear. Yeah. I that's if you're an older running back, I think that's definitely the right move. You get to avoid training camp and stuff like that. Like it's a good deal. Like, training camp is brutal for some players. So yeah, why not skip it? Chris says, oh wow, Luka fouled out. I didn't even watch TBH, trying to help them set these records for easy futility. Yeah. I don't blame you for that. I had the game on. I actually fell asleep at halftime, and I had a dream that I was watching this game, but they were playing on the moon, and like they were jumping like super high in the air, like super slowly. And I think it was like one of those dreams you have when your eyes are open, because I think I was watching the game, but I was imagining the stuff happening. And then I kind of like snapped out of it. I'm like, wait, I'm not watching a game on the moon here. Like it's the weirdest thing in the world. But no, I missed I missed most of the third quarter because I fell asleep at halftime. And then I quote unquote woke up and Dallas was down by like 10 or 12 when it was tied at halftime. I'm like, oh, come on. And then, Luka fouled out. They called like back-to-back fouls. Dallas actually reviewed both those calls and both went against them. I thought the fifth foul was legitimate, but like the sixth foul was so ticky-tack. Like, I was like, come on, like if you're the refs, you can't decide a game like that. You can't foul out Doncic. Like I get if he has like 2 fouls, fine, call it. But like if it's like that ticky tack and it's not blatant, you just can't do it. And the refs decided the game. I actually tweeted out that that the refs had never. I was like, have these refs ever seen a basketball game before tonight? Like, it just felt like they didn't, because like at one point, like Dallas and like Boston players were like tackling each other, and like there were no fouls being called. And then like Doncic, like, he gets shoved by the Boston player. They call the foul on him. It's like I don't get what these officials are doing. These refs are doing. So Chris says there's a major spoiler for House of the Dragon in Game of Thrones season 4. If I remember correctly, it's from Joffrey. Yes. It was season 3, I think. Or maybe there's another one that you're thinking of. No, Joffrey in season 3 said it. He said, I watched so-and-so. I watched. He's like so-and-so watched so-and-so get burned alive or get eaten by a dragon or something. I forget what he said exactly, but yeah, you're right. There was a major spoiler by Joffrey. There might be a second one too that you're thinking of, but I think that was in season 3 when Joffrey's talking to he's showing like Marjorie around the like all the dragon skulls and like that. So John says, Tom, if you're watching, Jaime and Cersei are in fact secret lovers. It's a major spoiler. Come on, John. Yeah, so yeah, hopefully Tom has gotten that one. So yeah, shout out to Tom if you're watching. Hello. But yeah, that's I guess that's about it. So gonna sign off. Thank you so much for watching, commenting. Really appreciate it, especially to John Sanders, 411 super chat. Thank you so much, John. Just really appreciate it. Because says, oh, it was the season 3. That is the spoiler I was referring to. So that is the House of the Dragon will end. Well, I don't think this is how it's going to end. I think it's going to be like the whole history of the Targaryens. I think like that storyline is going to end that way. But yeah, I remember I actually saw that episode recently. I'm like, oh man, I'm like, what? I wish I hadn't heard that. But yeah, so we know how one character's arc is going to end for sure. Yeah, that's funny. I did notice that too, and I was kind of pissed off. So yeah, anyway, yeah. So yeah, well, once again, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, or share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. We'll be back tomorrow with Tom. Long episode tomorrow. Can't wait for that. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys later and have a good night.